All right, well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Matt Slater, State Assemblyman for the 94th Assembly District. Welcome to the great town of Somers here in the historic Elephant Hotel. As you can see behind me, I'm joined with a whole host of incredible community partners, people who we rely on every single day. I want to thank Supervisor Rob Scarano for hosting us here today. I want to thank our partners who have joined us, Putnam County Sheriff, Sheriff McConville, Sarah Servito from the Putnam County Social Services and Child Advocacy Center, Marla Burrell, Chief Hoffman from the Carmel Police Department, a great leader in what we're going to be talking about today, from the Putnam Northern Westchester Women's Resource Center, their Executive Director, Piaget Sol Piaget, as well as board members Jessica Granger and Julia. Ooh, Julia, you're going to give me a hard time on this one. Julia give it to me. Papa Nicolau. I was close. I got the first letter. We were also joined by our Yorktown Town Supervisor, Ed Lachterman, and most importantly, joined by arguably one of the most courageous individuals that we could possibly know in Christina Ramundi, who's joined us here as well with her sister, Kim. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here and for your incredible strength and courage for joining us today. I know this is not easy, but we do truly appreciate it. As we know, domestic violence is a really significant issue that impacts people all across this great state. It impacts people right here in our own communities. And recently, due to a real horrific tragedy, we were working, as you can see behind me, with some great partners to help an incredible family through a very trying time. And during that process, we discovered that the housing laws here in New York State don't do enough to help victims of domestic violence. They don't do enough to make sure that victims of domestic violence and their families are not only restabilized, but are put on a path toward recovery and put on a path to live a full life. And so we've worked together here with the town of Somers supervisor, with our great friends from the Putnam Northern Westchester Women's Resource Center and law enforcement to try to rectify the shortfalls that we have found in the law when it comes to housing for domestic violence victims. Currently, if you are renting in the state of New York and you are a victim of domestic violence, the law provides you with the opportunity to terminate your lease, and that's it. However, if you are lucky enough to live in a great community like the town of Somers, who rallies behind our victims of domestic violence, who provides incredible services, who has a great school district, if you want to continue to live in your community, there should be other options to help you get back on your feet and stabilize yourself and your family and take advantage of the great community that we have. And that's why we've introduced, I think, an incredible piece of legislation in the Safe Housing Transfer for Domestic Violence Victims Act. And this is a very simple but profound proposal that would essentially just allow a domestic violence victim. And I also, by the way, want to thank the Carney Group for helping me with this legislation, because we did go to landlords specifically on this to get their feedback. But this legislation would allow domestic violence victims to simply request a transfer to another unit within their own community owned by that property owner. As we've learned in certain instances, specifically when it comes to individuals who either live in public housing or individuals who live in an affordable housing unit, the law does not allow that to happen. And so what then transpires is the individual, all they can do, as I said earlier, is just terminate their lease, and then they go back to the bottom of the list that has to be processed, and they are waiting, trying to figure out what their living situation is going to be. And that is simply unacceptable. It's unacceptable for the state of New York. It's unacceptable when it comes to our domestic violence victims. And so we have put together this legislation that would grant victims of domestic violence the ability to request that transfer to another unit within, again, either that specific housing complex or another owned by that property owner. And it would require the landlord prioritize those transfers, which is so critically important. And it requires that the landlord not only acknowledge but act within 15 days of receiving that request, because we all know that time is of the essence when it comes to supporting and helping our domestic violence victims. It also would ensure that when that request is granted, that there are no additional application fees, there's no additional security deposits, and no increase in rent. It is a straight transfer to another unit. Because if you think about it, if you are a victim of domestic violence, and I know that there are many out there, but the thought of walking through that front door every day, just emotionally reliving those horrors, is something that I can't even imagine. And so we want to make sure that our victims have all the support that they need, like I said, to recover, to heal, and to stabilize themselves and their families, and being and continuing to be members of great communities like here in the town of Somers for many of our victims is crucial. And so we have built and continuing to build a great coalition on this. We already have members of the majority in both houses who have already recognized and understand why this legislation is so important. And so this is about to take off in the legislature, and it started right here in the town of Somers because of the great collaborative work that we were able to put together. And so I just want to thank everyone again for joining us and standing us here today. I think it's important that we hear from some of the folks who have come out today, starting with our host, a great leader here in Westchester County, an incredible supervisor for the town of Somers. That's my good friend, Rob Scarano. Supervisor, thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. I stand here today in strong support of Assemblyman Matt Slater's bill A07026, the Safe Housing Transfer for Domestic Violence Victims Act. This legislation is a crucial step forward in protecting vulnerable members of our community, including right here in Somers, where we have witnessed the devastating consequences of domestic violence. This bill should receive unanimous support from both sides of the aisle, and the governor must sign the bill as soon as it reaches her desk. Imagine surviving a domestic violence attack in your own home, a place meant to be safe, only to face the impossible choice: stay in the very place where you were traumatized, or leave and lose your housing entirely. For many survivors, leaving means starting over at the back of the line, re-entering the housing lottery that could take months or even years. No one should be forced to relive the worst nightmare just to keep a roof over their head. Yet, this is exactly what happens under the current system. The emotional toll is overwhelming. Grief, fear, and the inability to heal because the system forces them to choose between stability and their own well-being. This is just plain unacceptable, and it must change. I am proud to stand with Assemblyman Matt Slater on this bill, which ensures that survivors are not trapped into bureaucracy when they make their impossible decision to leave. It guarantees that they can relocate without losing their place in the housing system, so they are never forced to choose between safety and stability. Now, I know Matt touched on a few of these things before, but why is the legislation necessary? Leaving abuse should not mean losing housing. Survivors who flee abusive homes are forced to re-enter housing lotteries and move to the back of the line. Survivors are forced to start over. Limited protection in the current system. Westchester County has affordable housing programs, but there is no priority for systems for domestic violence survivors. The mental health toll of housing insecurity. Survivors already face trauma, PTSD, anxiety, and fear. Without stable housing, recovery becomes even harder. How the Assembly bill fixes the problem. This removes barriers that prevent survivors from leaving dangerous situation, ensures the right to relocate, protects survivors from retaliation, applies to both public and private housing, removes financial barriers, keeps survivors close to the support networks, ensures survivors can stay near their job, the school district, and support system, and enforces accountability. The Division of Housing and Community Review will oversee compliance, ensuring survivors receive the protections they deserve. Now it's a call to action. Why this bill must pass? It's about justice, safety, and dignity. It's not about a partisan issue. Protecting survivors should be something we all agree on. So I urge, when this bill gets up there, that this legislation passed and passed swiftly. To the survivors out there, know that you are not alone. We stand with you, and we will continue to fight on your right to a safe and stable home. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Great words. Appreciate it. We also have with us here, as I said earlier, Piaget, Sol Piaget, who's the Executive Director of the Northern Westchester Putnam Women's Resource Center, a great community resource for us here in the Hudson Valley. I say that with pride. My wife, in full transparency, serves on their board of directors, and so I hear every day the incredible work that they do. But Piaget has been a great partner in this particular instance, writing this legislation in partnership with us, reviewing it to make sure that it does, in fact, deal with the situation that we are trying to fix. And so with that, I'd like to welcome Piaget up to say a few words. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I'm Piaget, Sol Piaget. I'm the Executive Director for the Putnam Northern Westchester Women's Resource Center. It is an honor to stand here with all our partners today, advocates and community leaders, as we take a significant step forward to providing safer housing options for New Yorkers. Every year, thousands of individuals, primarily women and children, are forced to make an unthinkable choice: stay in an abusive relationship or face homelessness. This is not a choice that anyone should have to face. Domestic violence is the leading cause of homelessness, and yet for far too long, our housing systems have failed to adequately support those seeking safety and a fresh start. Today, we change that with this legislation. When survivors have a safe place to go, they're more likely to escape abuse, find employment, receive necessary counseling, and rebuild their lives. Stability in housing allows children to stay in schools without fear, families to heal, and individuals to reclaim their futures. We recognize that improving housing options for survivors is not just one agency or one policy initiative. It requires the support of our entire community. By working together, we create a safety net that ensures no survivor is left behind. To the survivors in our community, we hear you, we see you, we will continue to fight for you, and we're here to support you. And to the supporters and donors and advocates in our community, your commitment makes this work possible. Every resource you provide, every bed we open, every life we save is because of your dedication to this cause. And today, all of us stand here together, reclaim and reaffirm that commitment that as a community, we will continue to keep survivors safe. And to our leaders, today is a pivotal moment, but we have a long way to go. And together, by taking this moment and with this initiative, we reconfirm our commitment to our community to continue to keep our community safe and to offer hope for survivors and offer hope for those who are still being at risk for abuse and those who are still marginalized because of the stigma related to domestic violence. Today we offer hope, but hope is not a feeling. Hope is an action. And today, together, we are taking action one step further to making our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Piaget. Thank you so much. And Piaget really nailed it in so many ways. And so we're just so lucky to have him and his leadership and his vision and understanding of the profound impact this is going to have for victims of domestic violence. I do want to invite Supervisor from Yorktown, Ed Lachterman, up to say a few words. Supervisor?
Thank you, Assemblyman Slater. There's not much more that can be said that has been said, but you look at the fact that people that are victims of domestic violence are looking to restart their life. Something that's totally out of their control. They should have the help. They should have the support. It's our most vulnerable of citizens that are dealing with this, and it is a community spirit that needs to be there. I really thank you, Matt, for taking this on, head on and going for it. And I really hope I'll repeat some of the words from my cohort here in Somers. We need Albany to realize this, and we need Albany to say this should be a unanimous thing. This is not politics. This is really about helping people who need it. And that is what we should all be doing. That is, it's Judeo-Christian value, it's community value. It's really what we should all be here for. And keep up the work, and hopefully we, with this great team, could get that taken care of.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is, again, a team effort, and law enforcement plays a pivotal role when it comes to supporting and helping our victims of domestic violence. We have with us one of the region's top law enforcement officials in Sheriff Kevin McConville from Putnam County. Sheriff, would you come and say a few words, please?
Sure.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. And thank you for leading the way with this initiative, this bill. This serves to right a lot of wrongs, and your leadership is indicative of that effort. And we urge everyone to get behind this and support it. Call Albany. Make sure your representatives know about the bill, and they push hard to get it passed. There's an old saying, don't victimize a victim twice. That's what's currently happening at this moment. Your bill fixes that. Law enforcement appreciates that. I know victims do. The entire community and the region does. So thank you very much for your efforts.
Thank you very much,
it.
Sheriff. I appreciate it. And appreciate all you and your agency does as well. Finally, like I said, we have one of the most courageous individuals that I know and have been able to get to know with us today, and that's Christina Ramundi and her sister, Kim. Christina, a resident here in Somers, I think actually went to high school together at one point. But like I said, somebody who is just truly inspiring. And I'd like her to come up and just say a few words if she is able to do so.
Sure.
Christina?
Thank you for aging me, Matt. Thank you so much for the invitation. This is such an important moment. Obviously, I wouldn't like to be here, but I'm here, and I'm glad that my sister's here to support me, as well as everybody here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. I think this legislation is a wonderful opportunity for future victims, because unfortunately domestic violence there's no end in sight. Unfortunately, it's a big problem that we face. So I think that this legislation is a big help to victims such as myself. And I think that this is a great opportunity to just help everybody. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here today, sharing this experience with everybody, and just reminding everybody that we have to be kind to one another, and keeping that stability for myself and for my son is very important. And thank you to the town of Somers. Thank you to the town of Yorktown. I'm actually staying in Yorktown now with my family, so it's very close to my heart. So just thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. And you see it right there, folks. Why this bill is so important. Why we believe that this really will transform lives. And so I'm looking forward to getting back to Albany on Monday. Like I said, I think this is going, and I know this is going to have a lot of bipartisan support because this is, again, righting a wrong. As was said before, it's ensuring that our victims aren't re-victimized, and it's ensuring that we are, of course, doing the right thing for those who need it most.